The silent majority
is no longer
silent. This is the War Room with Owen Schroyer.
Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Meet Oliver Schwab. He is the managing director of the World Economic Forum. His sister, Nicole, is a member of the executive committee for the World Economic Forum. In July of 2021, she said that COVID was a huge opportunity to have their great reset.
I see it as a tremendous opportunity to have this great reset and to use this huge flows, of money to use the increased levers that policymakers have today in a way that was not possible before.
Their father, Klaus Schwab, is the founder of the World Economic Forum. 7 years ago, he announced plans to start tracking the entire population and merge everyone with a central machine, what he now calls the Great Reset. The Schwab family is working together with other families because that's how Team Evil works. You can call them the Illuminati if you like, but they have no official name, and they are not illuminated. There is no telling how many family bloodlines are involved, but they keep it in the family for three main reasons, and they all have to do with power. First, and most simply, as a way to gain and maintain their fortune. Secondly, is to carry out long-term secret objectives. These families use insurance companies and private trusts to protect their own fortune from the fiat debt-based system that they created, and to generate the kind of money needed for a 100-year plan. The older generation outlawed natural medicine, introduced petrochemical pharmaceutical drugs, and polluted the environment. And now the younger generation is here to fix it with their totalitarian Great Reset. It's a multi-generational plan that works because of family loyalty and also because of the third reason why they keep it in the family: trauma-based mind control. Most victims of the CIA's trauma-based mind control program, MK Ultra, have come from families with a history of child abuse, because multi-generational child abuse makes a child more susceptible to mind control. And most of the characters we see as world leaders are not only actors on a stage, they are oblivious because they have suffered a lifetime of abuse and mind control. The overwhelming majority of people on Team Evil are not all in on it. They simply do as they are told. They follow orders and they don't ask questions. These families see having children as a means of gaining power and wealth. They see their own children as property, as slaves to do the family's bidding. But perhaps it's more like a cult than a family. Nearly 1 million child orphans were distributed throughout America and the Commonwealth in the late 1800s by an international secret society called the Odd Fellows. Delivered primarily by train, many of these orphans were born in private homes owned by the Odd Fellows and their offshoot, the Daughters of Rebecca, an all-female Masonic organization that featured symbols of mass breeding and fertility. Philip Eugene de Rothschild says that the Rothschild family alone has produced over 100,000 children in these secret breeding programs. Most of the U.S. presidents during this time were Freemasons. 4 of them were Oddfellows, and at last count, 34 U.S. presidents are directly related to Charlemagne, king of the Franks, who is believed by these Illuminati bloodlines to be of the Merovingian bloodline, a genetic set that they highly value. And Team Evil has always been obsessed with genetics. So it really isn't that strange to point out the similarities between Justin Trudeau and Fidel Castro, Angela Merkel and Adolf Hitler's mother, Barbara Bush and Aleister Crowley, or even Obama and Akhenaten. The only way these families and their abused mind control minions are able to control the rest of us is by dividing us. And if we, the people, could change that, then we could change everything. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
All right, big loaded show. Your phone calls. Owen Schroyer here hosting the War Room. Now we finally completed the triple-double.
What are you doing today, sir?
I'm f***ing you up. F***ing Infowars. F*** your followers. You're a f***ing fascist pig.
The triple-double is complete. Owen Schroyer here with you live on this Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023 edition of the InfoWars War Room, brought to you by InfoWarsStore.com. Fastest 3 hours on the internet. Right now, we've got two guests slated for today. In the second hour, and I've been working on getting this guest on and this issue into the fore, obviously, so it might be a little off topic for today, but we already had this scheduled, and this is something we should all be coalescing around and building momentum around, and that's ending property taxes. And so we have an individual who's been fighting this for decades joining me, Eddie Craig, today. Then we're going to be joined by attorney and talk show host Kevin Slayton. We'll get his response to the latest Trump indictments and the developments in the Biden crime family. Now, I've already spent a lot of time on this today hosting the Alex Jones Show. And you know me, I don't like to be redundant, so I'm going to avoid that and instead open up the phone lines when we come back in this next segment. But first, let me do this. I will be redundant right now because sometimes it's worth it being redundant, and then you know that that's a big thing if Schroyer's being redundant here. This was part of Donald Trump's statement, 60 seconds of it, in response to the indictments flying last night, as we perfectly predicted last week. You'd have the Devin Archer testimony, then the indictments the next day. Oh, how did you know? Oh, I don't know. The deep state Democrats and the corrupt political establishment's pretty predictable, actually. So here was Trump's statement last night that had me all kinds of fired up, and I'll explain why after you hear it.
Country is in a very dark place right now. But even after everything the deep state has done to me, I will never give up on America. Mark my words. In 2024, we will win back the White House. We will make America great again. I have no doubt about it. They come at me from left. They come at me from right. The rhinos, the communists, the Marxists, the fascists. We will not only survive, we will be stronger than ever before. We're fighting a fight like nobody ever thought possible, and we're winning. We won in 2016. We had a rigged election in 2020, but got more votes than any sitting president. We're going to win like never before, and we're going to make America great again. I can truly say, I believe, better than ever before. Thank you for all of your support and for all of your prayers.
Now, folks, I got off air. It was a long day yesterday, and part of the reason why this fires me up is because of the stuff that we deal with behind the scenes that most people have no idea about and couldn't even fathom, even if we tried to explain. But Donald Trump is one of the people that does understand that. So I was a little exhausted and down after yesterday, down on America. And then I heard that from Donald Trump, and it charged me right back up. And as somebody who has seen this firsthand, I've seen what friends of mine have gone through, Alex Jones, Roger Stone. I've seen what I've gone through. I've seen what others have gone through, Mike Flynn. And when I see those men that I look up to, that influence me, and I see everything they've gone through, and I see them still fighting every day, I see them still focusing on the mission, not even their own hardships, but the mission. It inspires me to keep fighting. It reminds me that it's worth it. It reminds me of the great men that have come before. And it just certifies to me Donald Trump is the real deal. Now, just to be clear, not everybody in the crew here likes Donald Trump or would vote for Donald Trump. We've got Kennedy voters and other voters out there. I have friends that necessarily don't like Donald Trump either. But you know what? I was one of the first people in media to get fully behind Donald Trump when he was polling at 0% in 2015. I took a lot of crap for it then. I took a lot of crap for it on the streets. I went with my gut. I went with my instincts, and it was right. And my instincts are telling me that Trump is the guy to be the president if we're going to save this country. I'm not saying Trump is your savior. I'm not saying Trump is the perfect guy. I'm just saying the man is clearly fighting for this country. The man is clearly going through it because of that fight, and he doesn't give up, and he just gave us a message of hope and positivity in one of the darkest days in this country's history. So, yeah, I'm rallying behind that big time. I'm rallying behind that big time with many other Americans facing jail time, knowing it's damn well worth it to save freedom in the West. All right, we're going to take phone calls here in the first hour. Ahead of our guests joining us, I want to get your response to the indictment news and everything since yesterday. And again, I don't want to be redundant. I really honed in on this during the Alex Jones show with my own coverage, and then Roger Stone, and then Patrick Byrne. So if you do want to find my takes on all that, you'll have to go to the Alex Jones show. I just don't want to be redundant here. We have a lot of carryover audience, and I'd rather hear from you. So the number, your response to the Trump indictment, or what you're seeing as far as maybe your friends and family's response, or if you're noticing anything in the media like I am. An example would be I'm watching Fox News last night, and they have all these different guests going on there. And by the way, you know, they fired Tucker Carlson, but last night, a Tucker Carlson-less Fox News sounded more like an InfoWars transmission than ever before. So let's just put it like this. The normies are waking up. The cucked out conservative lights are starting to get a little heavy. Now, they're still in for a rude awakening, because what I believe is going to be revealed, because InfoWars always goes through it first, folks. It's just true. I wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't. It's just time and time again. So my guess is if this case with the latest indictment of Donald Trump goes to trial, and he starts presenting things like the vote Viagra for Biden in 5 different states at 3 a.m., if he starts showing the video evidence of the truckloads of ballots, them pulling the big containers of ballots out, the water main lie, the water main break lie, the ballot harvesting mules that was in the documentary film 3,000 Mules, the judge is going to toss it all out. The judge is going to say, nope, you're not allowed to see that. Nope, you're not allowed to say that. Nope, reject that from evidence. And then just reject discovery. Well, why would they do that? Well, that's what they did to Alex Jones. The opposition to Alex in court would make an argument. Alex's counsel would say, can you provide any evidence of that? The judge would say, don't need to see it. So when I hear this talk about this is going to turn around and bite them in the back, which Patrick Byrne was just saying on the Alex Jones show, it's no disrespect to him. He's an expert as well. I just believe you're going to see how rigged these court cases actually are. And it's going to blow people's minds, because they're going to say, why can't Trump submit any evidence? Why can't Trump ask for any discovery? This has never been seen in a courtroom before. Oh, except it has with Alex Jones, but nobody talked about it. But now it's Donald Trump. Everybody's going to see it. Everybody's going to talk about it. That's how I think it goes. And if I'm wrong, guess what? Then they will get the discovery, and Trump will have subpoena power. And all that proof that led him to believe the election was rigged will be presented to the public with more magnification and amplification than ever before. So either way, aside from the fact this just shows how corrupt the country is, and the ruling class, the political elite, are out to get Donald Trump no matter what, the two-tiered justice system, everything else. Aside from that, there's potentially 2 major good outcomes with this. The acceleration of the awakening, realizing how rigged the court system is, because a lot of people still think, oh, no, that's all good. That's our protection. Oh, well, maybe you'll find out the hard way. Or Trump does get discovery, does get the subpoena power, reveals all the stuff in the courtroom, and then it's undeniable. Whether it happens next year or not, that's the 2 potentials I see here. So we've got more on that, but the phone lines are lit up. We are going to take your calls next segment. I do have some other stuff for you today as well, including we've got a Darren McBreen video, 5 minutes of Democrats denying election results. I found another video that somebody else produced, 10 minutes of Democrats denying election results. So, I mean, at this point, I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. The American left liberal progressive Democrats, folks, they have consciously now decided they are the bad guys. They will be history's actors as the bad guys. They have fully embraced it. At this point, if you can't see that, then you're just not paying attention. Why do you say that? Because they just indicted Donald Trump for his free speech. They said that he was calling for violence, and then in the indictment, they shared his tweets and his statements calling for peace. They indicted him for doubting an election result. The Democrat Party has denied every presidential election result they've lost in the 21st century, and I've got almost half an hour of Democrats denying election results, taking it to the Senate, taking it to the Capitol, rejecting electors. They've done it for decades, literally decades, and now they've indicted Donald Trump for doing what they've been doing for 30 frickin' years. So if you can't see that two-tier justice system, but it's not even the two-tier justice system. It's a hierarchy of power. It's a ruling class. We have a ruling class. We, the people that are supposed to be the governing force of this country, we, the people, we have lost control of our country. We have lost control of our future. We have lost control of our political system to the ruling class, and now we see all their different actors like Jack Smith, like Anthony Fauci. That's the revelation. And there's something else lurking here. It's like I can't see around a wall. I can't see around a corner. I can't see through a wall. But, you know, if there's something standing over there making noise, or there's something standing over there that just stinks, you can smell it, you know it's there. There's something else that's behind the next turn here, folks. And it's the understanding. Let's not even get theoretical. I mean, folks, this is not politics. Jack Smith is not going after Donald Trump strictly for political reasons. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because that's what it appears on the surface, and on the surface it is. No, this goes beyond politics, folks. This is about power. This is about control. This is about something even more disturbing than what's going to be revealed. All of these individuals going after Donald Trump are involved in something beyond politics, folks. Again, I'm not going to get conspiratorial. We can talk about the Epstein Island. We can talk about the blackmailed pedophiles, the blackmailed homosexuals that cheat on their wife and everything else, the people that have interns dead in their closet. We can talk about all of that, and we can get theoretical. But I'm just saying, there's something lurking behind this wall, behind this turn. It's more than politics, folks. If you can't see that, there is something dark and twisted that these people that want to get rid of Donald Trump are involved in, and that's why they're doing this. You don't blatantly expose yourself as this corrupt unless you're hiding something truly disgusting behind the scenes. So yeah, we're talking Podesta emails. We're talking Marina Abramovich Satanist worship ceremonies. We're talking Epstein Island raping boys and girls. That's the same people going after Donald Trump. So it looks political, which is bad enough, but it's way beyond politics, isn't it? It's something else. And that's why they're so pissed off, because Donald Trump showed you the sound of freedom that shows child sex trafficking, how the government helps cover it up, and then came out the next day and said death penalty for child sex traffickers. Boy, who would get mad at that? Oh, I don't know, pedophiles and child sex traffickers? So again, not to get too conspiratorial or theoretical here, but I mean, it's pretty clear. We're beyond politics at this point. All right, we got a situation at the Capitol today. Apparently an active shooter situation. I've not heard any reports of gunshots, but they're treating it like an active shooter situation, evacuating the Capitol police trying to get people outside. So now they're saying no injuries and no shooter, and I guess it was just a phone call that led to the evacuation. It's been odd following this story, but wanted to at least mention that. And of course, if they eventually blame this on Donald Trump to deny him bail, I think we have a pretty good idea of the agenda, don't we? So if we have anything new on that, I will let you know. We are about to take phone calls. Ladies and gentlemen, great news for you, the InfoWars store shopper. the vitamin mineral fusion enthusiast like myself, Vitamin Mineral Fusion is back in stock and 25% off at InfoWarsStore.com. Why do I start every morning with Vitamin Mineral Fusion? Because it's got 100% daily value of so many different vitamins and minerals that you don't get in your daily diet. Vitamin A, B, C, B12, C, D. It's got it all in E. I mean, you name it. You can go see the label for yourself to find out all the great. In fact, why should I wait? I've got a canister right here. Over 100% daily value vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, riboflavin, vitamin D6, folate, vitamin B12, biotin. It just goes on and on from there. 1,000 milligrams of glycine. Most people don't get the glycine. That's great for you. The CoQ10, L-glutamine. I mean, this thing is just loaded, folks. I start every morning with Vitamin Mineral Fusion. I like to mix it with juice. Tastes great, healthy for me. Supports the InfoWar, InfoWarsStore.com. All right. We still got a lot of stuff here, but I got to take calls. I really want to hear the audience response to this latest Trump indictment. And let's start with CJ in Florida. CJ, you're on the InfoWars War Room. Go ahead.
Well, Owen, am I on?
Yes.
Oh, man. Owen, this is a dream come true.
A dream come true. How about that?
Yes.
All right.
Listen, I've been trying to get in contact with you guys for years. The phone lines are always busy.
I know, brother. Well, you're here now.
Listen, first I want to tell you guys, thank you and Alex so much for what you guys are doing. I'm on your side. What I want to tell you, though, is that I'm going to play devil's advocate with you a bit, okay? Because I'm listening to you. I'm listening to the callers. I'm listening to the guests you have on all the time. And I'm like, yes, no. There is something we keep missing, right? I'm on your side. Remember this, right? Did you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm anticipating I'm anticipating here.
Okay. What I'm saying is this. I work in healthcare, okay? I've been in healthcare for 18 years plus. And I'm like, I've seen it. We work with the COVID patients, all that stuff. Watching Trump, I supported Trump, voted for Obama, voted for Trump, all that stuff. And I'm like, do you know about the Jesuits? Do you know about Hegelian dialectic and some of the things? We call it conspiracy theories, but not conspiracy theories. We keep putting our trust in people to be the ones to rescue us. Trump is going to get us. Trump is going to get us. Trump is going to save us. And think about it. How in the world? Well, here's this. I would like to talk to you and Alex, Presley in particular, and even Leo Zagami. Because I've listened to your guests, and I'm like, I have so much to say. I don't know if 2 minutes is going to cover it, but I'll do my best, okay? Think about it. We keep saying Trump is going to be the one to save us. Trump is going to be the one to rescue us. Trump is going to get us out of it. Look what Trump has done for the last session he was in. Everybody Trump brought in was recycled. Look before him, who we had before him? We had Obama, and they said Obama went left and right. Before him, we had, Bush and everything else, and against Hillary. We're talking about a uni party. You have two sides of the same coin saying they're going to do this for you, this for you. They're the same people. Trump is working for them too.
Okay, so let me just stop you right there because I'm not trying to have the Trump debate today. And it's not that I don't want to have it. I'd love to have it, and you bring up fair points, but let me respond. First of all, Trump is a part of the Uniparty. Okay, well, explain this to me. Because this is the left's big argument today, and they have all their paid Twitter accounts putting it out. Barack Obama, 0 felony charges. Hillary Clinton, 0 felony charges. Joe Biden, 0 felony charges. Donald Trump, 78 felony charges. So how do you explain that, then, if Trump's part of the team?
Because they can play both sides, making them seem adversarial, but yet they're working on the same end. Trump is working on one end.
So that's a fair theory. I totally understand that. I disagree. And I've looked at all the angles. I know I'm within 1 degree of separation from Donald Trump. Okay? And so I don't believe that theory. People that do believe it, totally respect it, totally get it. Now, let me respond to the other thing you said. And I agree with this in a sense to a degree as well, but let me explain my rationale here. You say, oh, people think Trump is going to save us. Trump is not going to save us. I don't believe Trump is going to save us. I'm not saying Trump is going to save us. I'm saying we have the best opportunity to save the country and save ourselves if Trump is the president. That's my pragmatic line of thinking here. And so, look, CJ, I'd love to continue the conversation, and I'm probably going to hear it. People say, oh, you're covering for the Jesuits. All right, the Jesuits run everything. Go look it up. They probably run Trump, if you believe that. It's just, here's the thing, CJ. You bring up a fair conversation. I'm not here to have the Trump debate today. I'm here to get people's response to the Trump indictment. I've got yours. This is your first time getting through. I'm glad you got through today. Maybe we can have this conversation another time, but I can't spend too much time on each caller here because I got so many people that want to weigh in. Let's go now to Chaz in North Carolina. Chaz, you're on the air. Go ahead.
All right. So all of this started back in 2016 when he came down the escalator, and they were quietly getting away with it for a long time, and they started getting loud about it after 2016, and everything that's going on, from the attack on our logic to the attack on what's a man or a woman to the attack on just calling people names that they don't deserve, calling someone a racist, calling someone a Nazi, acting like a fascist while calling someone a fascist, and criminalizing Donald Trump while they're sitting behind curtains being criminals. You guys are 100% correct. You call it like you see it, but we just haven't called it by the right name yet. It's ideological subversion. Yuri Bezmenov defected from the Soviet Union back in the Cold War, and he wrote books about it. It's called ideological subversion, and we have been under attack for a long time. We are in the demoralization phase. The demoralization phase does not stop once they lead us into the crisis phase. We're entering the crisis phase, and once they have put us under, it's a multifaceted thing that comes down on you in just a few years, and you can totally destroy a free country and turn it into a dictatorship without firing a single bullet. And that's what they're doing to us.
I think 2024 is set to be the craziest year in this country's history. I'm not even going to get into what might or could happen. It's just, we all sense it. We all sense it. The things they're going to pull, I mean, we've seen the pandemics. We've seen stolen elections. We've seen all the lies, the propaganda, the political persecution. 2024 is going to be all that amplified times 10. Chaz, thanks for the call. Let's go to Max in Wisconsin. Max, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Owen, can you hear me all right?
Yes, loud and clear.
I think, this latest Trump stuff is driving me wild, but it's, to be expected, especially after seeing what happened in Wisconsin here. I don't know if you remember when they were counting the votes here, they had voter Viagra, and there was this crazy wild video where, like, in the middle of the night, the police escort all in mass this official, and they try to have the media not capture it, and as she's like overturning the election, delivering a bunch of votes on a thumb drive, she's like saying about how she's doing this for protecting democracy and everything. And you see, like, how corrupted it is here with, like, our Governor Evers. Imagine, he just signed for 400 years a budget increase.
Well, I wonder if all the people that didn't want to get into what actually happened in 2020 like we have, I wonder if they're going to re-examine that and catch on pretty quickly what we figured out that night. All right, a statement from Donald Trump. I don't know where all this has been published, but he has emailed that to those on the Donald J. Trump email chain. I'm guessing he'll publicly post something shortly because the arraignment, and it's just been announced, the arraignment will be tomorrow afternoon in Washington, D.C. So I guess Trump's going to be flying to D.C. for this arraignment tomorrow. They already have like a square mile blocked off, so they're expecting it to be a scene. This just came from Donald J. Trump. According to news reports, I will be arraigned tomorrow in the belly of the beast, Washington, D.C. There's something deeply troubling about learning details of your own arraignment as your freedom hangs in the balance from leaks from the press. Some outlets indicate that I may even be arrested. The swamp that I am on a mission to drain is trying to imprison me for life as an innocent man. But I am not afraid in the slightest. This is the mission I signed up for when I first chose to run for president as a political outsider. When you begin to drain the swamp, you finally catch a glimpse of the vile monsters that had been lurking at the bottom. Biden's weaponized Department of Justice is one of the most monstrous entities that is tearing our nation to pieces. Crooked Joe does not have the courage to face me in a free and fair election at a time when our country is in serious decline. So he's cravenly weaponized the DOJ to try and put me in jail as a last-ditch effort to stay in power as the least popular president in history. There's no other way to say it. Our nation is teetering on the brink of tyranny. And at this moment, I am reminded of the words of our founding fathers who said that America would be a republic so long as you can keep it. We will soon find out if we can keep it. Donald J. Trump. To be indicted in D.C. tomorrow. It's going to be a total circus. Oh, my gosh. Sorry, I'm stunned. I'm speechless now, but I can't be caught speechless here because I'm literally on the air. So let's go to the phone lines again. And let's go to Dave in New Jersey. Dave in New Jersey, you're on the air.
All right. Hey, Owen, I was listening to your last segment when you were covering for Alex and with the interview with Jack Burns. And when he was talking about the voter fraud and Tina Peters, I don't know, but many of the info warriors out there might not know about all the very, very detailed information that's out there with the specifics of the fraud and the computer data. It's Mike Lindell's website, frankspeech.com. He had it's called the Cyber Symposium. It was a 2-day presentation. He had a mathematician there named Dr. Doug Frank. He's got the spreadsheets based on the captured data, all the very detailed proof that they showed the election systems were hacked, the Dominion systems. Then he had another presentation. It was called the Moment of Truth Summit. And on one of them, his special guest was Tina Peters. She was a county clerk for Mesa County, Colorado. And when she was doing her job by keeping records of the voting systems, and she made a copy of the hard drive before and after Dominion came and did what they called the trusted build, which was them updating the system, but no one was allowed to see what the update was. So she has proof of the before and the after. And when he was about to bring her on stage, he's like, oh, my God. He's like, something happened. Our special guest, we might not be able to bring her out. At that exact moment, they were raiding her house. So, but I just wanted to let everyone know, if you want to learn more about the real detailed computer data, charts, the cast vote records in real time with the voter Viagra and all the real-time charts, go to Mike Lindell's website. He's been focusing on this, spending millions of dollars for the last 2 years, mainly on election fraud. Like, that's his main thing. And I think combined with the info that you have, combined with all the money he's put into the election fraud, I think where it's a missed opportunity. I think the info warriors need to also know about all the research he's done on that topic.
Well, we get Mike Lindell on all the time. He was just a guest on the Alex Jones show. We've covered his stuff before. And I will say that it's not just going to be Mike Lindell that's going to be knocking down Trump's door to get this information for him. There's going to be dozens of people that have done their own research that want to say, hey, we can help you in this discovery process. We can give you stuff to help you in your legal defense if and when it even gets to that point. But here's the problem. And I get why Americans, I mean, it's sad. Maybe you're not an American, but I get why citizens of this country run scared of the corruption. What happens to all the people that have really stood up and vocalized the loudest their doubts of legitimacy from the 2020 election results with even the evidence that they've discovered? Well, they get sued, they get thrown in jail. So that scares people away. They don't want to have the fight. But it really tells you the whole story. It shows you that we have a ruling class. It shows you that we are under thumb of political corruption and manipulation. And when you try to call it out or shake free, you end up behind bars. You end up in a courtroom. It's just the total proof positive of how corrupt things are. And so the American people are going to see that now. Thank you for the call, Dave. And we are now joined in studio by Alex Jones. We got a mic ready right there. Pull that mic up. What do you got? You want this mic?
I want to breathe on you.
Don't give me the Biden treatment.
No, I'm exhausted today, man. Well, there's a lot of disinfo. We're being fed and a lot of psyops. But I've been in like a 2-hour meeting, and we got good news. And InfoWars is winning, but there's been just a lot of dirty tricks going on, attempts to shut us down. I'm not at liberty to talk about it all, but I'm going to come in if you want, and I'm going to come in and do the. If you want, I'll come in and join you at 4:45 and give people an update.
Sounds good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. 4:45. So we got about an hour here, and then we're going to get an update from Alex Jones on some of the stuff that goes on here behind the scenes. But see, that's why when I saw Trump make that statement last night, it charged my batteries. Because, folks, it's really easy to get depressed and get down and give up when this corrupt system is coming after you.
Not just evil in the universe.
Exactly. There's not just evil in the universe. There are good people. I know I'm real. I know Alex is real. I know my crew is real. I know this audience is real. And we do genuinely care, not just about the country, but we genuinely care about freedom. We genuinely care about humanity. We genuinely care about the future for humanity. So we're not done. These demons that run this planet, you haven't heard the last of the good guys yet. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to George in California. George, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Owen, how you doing, my man?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Good, man. Yeah, man, I think this whole thing is a scam, man. But Trump is innocent, man, and they're just doing this just to do a show, make the people think that he is going to jail, but he's not, man. I'm just praying that he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of flack when Trump first made his appearance to run for president. I had these friends of mine just making fun of me. I've lost friends, and I don't really care, because I'm standing up for truth,
Absolutely, and but it's only the dumbest of the dumb that are still suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, and now there's a new one, Biden denial syndrome. It's mostly the same people, but it's the similar thing. George, thanks for the call. Let's go to Kenra in South Carolina. Kenra, you're on the air. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
Kenra, are you there? Can you turn down your radio?
Hello?
Can you turn down your radio?
Yes, hello?
Yes, hi, you're on the air.
Hey, Owen, thanks for taking my call. Just to touch on the whole Trump situation. I never thought I'd ever see this happen in America. It's horrible, and I'm calling you from South Carolina, and this state is just riddled with rhinos. And my thing is, where's McCarthy on this? Where are the people that we elected to stop this tyranny?
I thought about this. I thought about this, Kenra, and I realized that the Republican Party, the voters of the Republican Party are about to change things significantly, and it's going to be a major trial run this next year. But basically, if you want to be a Republican and get elected to office, then you have to stump against the deep state. You have to talk about arresting the criminals that run D.C., whether it's Joe Biden or any of the rest of them. That's going to be the new standard to become a Republican and get elected. There's no more Lindsey Graham cucks, Mitch McConnell cucks. It's going to be stand up and say you're going to do something about the corruption in D.C. or get the hell off the podium. That's what I see coming in the near future. All right, we're going to do another short segment of calls, and then I got a guest joining me on a major issue that I've been talking about that we all need to coalesce around, and that's ending property taxes. A couple more calls here before we're joined by Eddie Craig. We're going to talk about one of the biggest evils perpetuated on the American people, property taxes. First, we take a couple more calls. Let's go to Todd in Ohio. Todd, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Owen, thanks for taking my call.
Right on. Thanks for calling.
I think Trump is the best thing that has happened to the presidency in my lifetime. And anybody that is a conservative or, leans that way, that bashes Trump, I ask them, well, then who?
Yeah, they usually don't have an answer, or look. There's good people out there. I like Vivek. I think Ron DeSantis is good. I like RFK Jr. I just don't see the realistic shot that they win.
I agree. I think that he must be a threat, or I don't think they would be putting on this charade and be trying to, indict him and this and that. I don't think they would be trying to smear him if he wasn't. They're not trying to. I mean, they're not attacking the other ones like that.
No, and from somebody who's seen this firsthand on the front lines, this is what they do, folks. They only do this to you if you're the real deal. So I don't buy into this whole, they're doing this to inflate Trump. It's all part of the show. No, it's not. These people are serious power brokers.
Yeah, I agree. I'm fearful of the do a Ukraine to the election. I'm really, really fearful of that.
Well, 2024 is going to be wild. I don't know if they're going to try to pull another pandemic deal, but I mean, the potential of war, cyber hack, alien invasion, like there's all kinds of different things we might see for them to try to stop us from even having an election.
All of the above.
Yeah, exactly. Just like roll it all out, man. All right, Todd, thank you for the call. Let's go to Jim in North Carolina. Jim, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Owen, before my comments, man, I've owed you Best Investigative Journalist at the American Liberty Awards today.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. This judge that was, I do think Trump's going to prison. This judge that was randomly, selected, she's was the toughest punisher of January 6th protesters.
Yeah, and in fact, I got stories right here about it with the January 6th defendants she had. Prosecutors weren't even asking for jail time, and she ended up putting them in jail anyway. That is rarely, if ever, the case. And usually it involves violent criminals where there's somebody that suffers injury. She went ahead and threw these protesters out there in jail without the government even asking for it.
Yeah, a Texas mortgage broker who just posed for a selfie in front of protesters that had breached the building. I mean, are you kidding me?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. How can the American people still be asleep to all of this? The Democrats rioted in Washington, D.C. during Trump's inauguration. I was there. They threw fireworks at me. I watched them bash glass windows in cars and buildings. They rioted. The Democrats rioted at Trump's inauguration in 2017. Everybody saw it. The Democrats rioted in D.C. again during the George Floyd riots. They burnt a church to the ground. It was so bad, Trump had to evacuate to the bunker of the White House. And then they're going to sit here and act like January 6th, the worst thing they ever done. Yeah, right. You Democrats riot and you destroy and you burn and you attack and you maim and you murder, and then you think we should listen when you point the finger at people at the Capitol? Give me a break. But then you see it. But then you see it in the justice system. Oh, a Democrat liberal that burnt a building down, you get your charges dropped. Oh, you took a selfie in front of the Capitol, you're going to jail.
Yeah, an Indiana hair salon owner celebrating on Facebook. Yeah, put her in prison.
They're coming for all of us, man. That's what imagine the wake-up call. You go to Washington, D.C. for a peaceful protest, a rally for America. You get involved in a wild day, 1.5 million people, things get out of control, and now all of a sudden you're in jail. It's like, yeah, folks, this Democrat Party is radical left-wing communists. They will arrest their political opposition, and if that isn't enough, they will kill you. It's like we don't just say this stuff for show. I mean, this is our reality. This is how serious it is. And that's why I'm like, thank God Donald Trump is still fighting. He hadn't given up. Really excited for my guest, Eddie Craig, today, an Air Force veteran. Also on YouTube at taooflaw.com. Now, Eddie was on InfoWars some time ago talking about property taxes. And as you know, this has become a major issue of mine that I want to bring to the front to have us all coalescing on. It's truly one of the worst things that are done to the American people are property taxes, paying the government for something you own. That is ludicrous. When you look at the amount of percentage of the money you make, you pay in taxes, you should be vomiting. It's at 30% about right now for the average American. This should make you sick. And so Eddie Craig joins me now. Eddie, there's a couple things that I've been focusing on lately, and I don't understand why every American can't coalesce around this. and that's the rigged housing market and then the property taxes that really end up crushing us because of the rigged housing market. You have been going against property taxes for decades. I think the last time you were on InfoWars was almost 10 or 15 years ago. You were talking about this. Where is the desire from politicians, a political party, a movement politically to coalesce and end property taxes?
Well, there isn't one, and therein lies the problem. There is no movement by the government to cut off a source of its funding. Doesn't matter to them that their source of the funding is illegal and unconstitutional. It just simply would not suffice to cut their budget by eliminating it.
Now, what's wild is, and I guess this just shows the slave mind that so many Americans have, is some people will actually argue that they like taxes, which I say, well, why don't you pay more then? Don't make me pay more. I don't like taxes. If you love taxes so much, why don't you pay more taxes? But I actually see this. I go on the streets, and it's mostly left-leaning people. They say taxes are good. We need more taxes. What? What in the hell? How does somebody come to that understanding and that belief?
Well, they come to it because they have a complete lack of understanding of how those taxes are actually used and whether or not those taxes are actually used to benefit them. A lot of people are under the mistaken impression that government collects taxes in order to spend it wisely upon benefits for the people. That's not the case. Most of the money collected by the government is lost through fraud, waste, and abuse. Very little of it is actually spent on providing services to the people. Evidence of that is in watching how things work these days. I mean, it takes literally forever to get a cop on the scene of an actual crime, the fire department to show up at your house unless you're within close proximity to the fire station, the mail system, the government services you go down to your public buildings to get access to. It takes forever to get anything done. And that's because the money that they steal from us is not being used to improve those services and benefits to the public. They're being used for things other than that. But the people you're talking about are under the mistaken impression that all the taxes are used for us, and that just isn't how it works.
Yeah, just look at the money that gets spent on the war in Ukraine, $200 billion in less than 2 years. Look at the money that gets spent on illegal immigration. Apparently, they just took I don't remember the number, a multi-million-dollar bus ride, a single bus ride. It cost $1 million to transport immigrants out of New York City. Somebody's stealing money in that deal of our taxpayers.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the climate change hoax and where they're trying to get climate taxes and everything else from. This money is being used to augment other programs, not the public.
Now, you've done the groundwork on this, and I mean, like, literally gone and gotten a shovel to dig some of this up. You found a Texas land patent. I have it here in front of me. I mean, like, where does the argument begin and end? Where do we start? Where do we get people to understand, hey, property taxes are illegal. You own your land. You own your house. You shouldn't be paying the government to have property.
Well, it begins with, at least as far as Texas is concerned, with the Texas Constitution. The Texas Constitution specifically created the Texas Land Office. The entire reason for the existence of the Texas Land Office is to check deeds or title to property, so for the purpose of issuing a proper land patent to the property owner once the transfer of that land has been completed. As you can see from the document I sent you a top copy, a top scan of the document and a lower scan. The top scan shows that signature, the very first signature that you see in that document is the governor of the state of Texas at the time the patent was issued. In this case, it's Joseph A. Sayers, I believe. And in that document, and this is how all land, public land in Texas was turned over to private control. All land sales in Texas occurred through a land patent, not through a deed and not through a title, but through a land patent. The governor, as a representative of the state of Texas, acted as the person who transferred all rights and claims to that property to the individual named in the patent, which in this case would be B.K. Stevens or Stewart, whatever it is. It's kind of hard to read the handwriting. But In any case, the governor made a direct agreement with an individual on behalf of the state to transfer all rights and claims to that property to that person. Now, if you look down at the bottom of the land patent, you will see language that clearly shows that that transfer was a waiver of all rights and claims by the state forever. Now, what falls within the realm of all rights and claims? Well, to put it bluntly, the right to tax it and the right to claim a power to tax it. The courts there's case law on the books that shows that when the government enters into a fiduciary agreement via contract and they engage in transactions that involve negotiable instruments, such as money or gold and silver or bonds or anything else, the contract they sign binds the government just as much as it would any other corporation or individual that was a party to a contract. And they cannot claim any superior standing in any way other than what is specifically stated in the terms of the contract. That's what the land patent is. It is a contract between the state of Texas via its agent, the governor, to an individual for the transfer of that land. And the representative of the state of Texas clearly states in the contract that the state waives all rights and claims forever. And that includes when any part of that land is transferred to an heir or an assign. Well, what's an heir and what's an assign? An heir would be like if you're passing it down from a family member to a family member via a will.
Which is now what they call the death tax, that they tax on that too.
Well, I don't know if Texas does, but the federal government certainly tries to. But in any regard, that's the heir. The assign is if a parcel of that land is actually sold to another individual and they become the contractual assignee of that land. So the rights of that patent are transferred via that sale to an assignee or an heir when there's a death or there's a sale. Okay? Now, the purpose of the land office is to investigate that original patent, ensure the proper boundaries, property boundaries on it are still in place, and that the part of that land that was sold to that assignee or given to that heir via a will is actually given an updated patent in the name of the new heir or the new assign. That's the whole job of the land office here in Texas. The general land office's responsibility was to issue the new patent. But back in the 60s, I think it is, they stopped issuing patents on transfers of land and instead started issuing deeds and titles.
So let's go into that next after this break. We're up against the break here. And so I wanted, where I was going to go next is what has happened since 1902 when that was signed. And then I also want to get into, has this ever been challenged in court as far as you know? We'll be right back with the guest. Don't go anywhere. We're talking property taxes with Eddie Craig. And why am I focusing on this? Because I was given this advice as a young man in media. Owen, find the void and fill it. Not nearly enough Americans are protesting these illegal property taxes, this blatant theft. You pay 30% of your money that you make to the government. It's just unbelievable theft and even slavery. And Eddie Craig has been talking about this for years. And so you kind of got into the background and you were about to get into what has happened in the 60s that hurt us Texans. So finish up with that. And then also, I would ask, has this ever been brought up in a court? Has anybody ever tried to battle property taxes in the legal system here in Texas? Eddie Craig.
Well, like I say, sometime around the 60s, I believe it was, they stopped issuing the land patent whenever a transfer of land would take place. They started issuing deeds and titles. Those are not proper documentation of actual ownership. There's two types of ownership when it comes to land. There is legal ownership and there is equity ownership. Legal ownership means you have the right of possession and use, but not the right of transfer or destruction. Okay? It's like going out and leasing a car. You can drive it, you can use it, you can let others use it. You can do anything with that car except sell it or burn it. Well, that's what a title gives you versus a land patent. If you had a true title to your car, instead of leasing it, you go out and you actually buy it. You can take it out, put it on a piece of land, drive it around, however you want to do it, loan it out as much as you want, run it into a tree, burn it to the ground, and as long as you're not trying to make an insurance claim for it, there's nothing anyone can say or do about it. Well, that's how the land patent is supposed to work. The land patent is what gives you true equity ownership of your land. And here in Texas, that equity ownership says that the state has no rights or claims to that land forever. And because they have no rights and claims, they did not reserve in the land patent. There is no language that says the state reserves the right to tax the property in any way, whether it be by mineral extraction, by ownership, by value, by anything. That's why the Texas Constitution strictly limits ad valorem taxes to real property and not to private property. There's a difference between the two. As far as challenging it in court, yes, it's been challenged. But in my opinion, it has not been properly challenged. Someone here a few years ago, while I was still living in Austin, took a case to court and sued over the property taxes, and the district judge found that he had no basis for his case because she put forth the argument that property taxes have been a long established part of our history. Well, in Texas, that is not true. It absolutely is not true. The land patent would have to contain language giving the state the power to tax the land, or they waived it through the forever language of the patent. So the way this needs to be approached to court, again, in my opinion, approached in court, is that we need to be suing the state of Texas for breach of contract. Then we need to add the counties and municipalities to the suit for tortious interference with that contract. Because the land patent is a contract between the state of Texas and the individual landowner named therein, who has a right under this contract to have equitable ownership of their property upon transfer and payment, which means the General Land Office is required to issue them a valid patent and thus prevent the state from having the authority to tax the land. If you actually look at a title or a deed, you will see that you are not listed as the equity owner. You are listed either as a tenant or as the legal owner. And like I said, those are very different things from an equity owner in the eyes of the law. Because of that, the state represents that they have the authority to tax the land, and you can't fight them over it because you do not have a current patent carried forward in your name, because the land office will not issue the thing, even though they're required by law to do so.
Well, and I'd love to get into how we can maybe approach pushing back and ending property taxes in Texas. And the reason why I've decided to do this is because the governor here has flirted with the idea. He's even made some moves to try to, he gave like an $18 billion property tax cut. It's not much in the large scheme of things. It may seem like much, but it needs to be cut entirely. But there seems to be an open mind from Governor Abbott, at least with the idea of ending property taxes. That's why I decided to do the property tax protest in front of the governor's mansion in support of the governor's idea to end property taxes on September 23rd. of this year. I'd love it if you could make it there and give a speech as well. You don't have to commit to anything here, obviously. But has anything come from the Texas legislator? Has anything come from the Texas mayor that nullifies the original land patent deal?
No, they can't. That would be an ex post facto law or an ex post facto executive order. They cannot nullify the original land patents that were issued back in the 1800s and the early 1900s by a law they create today. That would be a retroactive effect upon existing patents. They can't do that. That would be completely unconstitutional. I also sent you another document that goes over the various reasons. It's titled Texas Land Patents Doc. In that, I gave you a list of things about why the land patents versus warranty deeds and titles is unconstitutional. And I listed out 4 specific things as to why they cannot do what you're talking about. As far as giving Abbott any credit for this, I would reserve on that. And here's why. It's a re-election stunt. If Abbott actually knew and understood what a land patent was and what the laws of the state of Texas actually said, he would know that he cannot make a cut in taxes. He has to stop it outright, because an unconstitutional governmental act is unconstitutional no matter what or when it is performed. And the fact that they are doing this in violation of the Texas Constitution and all the laws surrounding those land patents, he has no legitimate authority to offer a tax cut to a land patent holder or to someone that's supposed to have a land patent and doesn't. What he should have done was to unilaterally order the General Land Office to issue proper patents to all current landholders to whom they actually belong. And then to inform the municipalities and counties that any land that falls under any issued patent is not taxable, but in any amount for any reason, because the state of Texas waived all rights and claims to levy such taxes right there in the language of the patent.
Eddie, I'd love to have you on again to discuss this. I'm loaded with guests today, so I've got to let you go now. But I plan on continuing to cover this. And, I mean, if there's a 1% chance we can influence the governor to end them, then I'm going to take it, because I'm sick of this government stealing my money. Eddie Craig, thank you for your time. By the way, that man years ago that told me to find the void and fill it is Kevin Slayton. And he's with me now. Lawyer and talk show host Kevin Slayton. Kevin, it's time. I mean, take the gloves off. The air is yours. The third indictment of Trump. Tell it like it is.
Well, this is just as bogus as the other ones, and this has just as much chance of succeeding as the other ones, maybe even less. This one's preposterous. This is an attack on the First Amendment right to freedom of speech and to freedom of thought, for that matter. If you thought you lived in the United States, think again. There is no longer freedom of speech, according to Jackass Smith, because he's telling us that Donald Trump had the audacity to express his opinion of the 2020 election and whether or not it was rigged against him. Just the mere mention of that, according to Jack Smith's indictment, is a crime. Now, never mind that Hillary Clinton and several Congress members, including Jamie Raskin and Maxine Waters, or as I call her, Mother Jefferson. If you want to know why, Google Mother Jefferson and Maxine Waters, and you'll see why. It's the same person. But they all stood in protest in the previous elections, from 2000 with Al Gore down to 2016 with Donald Trump. They stood in protest at the certification hearing. So we know that they have done every single thing that Donald Trump is accused of doing. Not only that, Hillary Clinton, of course, has gone around for 3 years, 4 years, 7 years, however many years it's been, and called Donald Trump an illegitimate president. So has the little rotund Fats Domino, Jerry Nerdler. He has also said it, and not all of them have said it. They've all called him illegitimate. This is the same thing they're accusing Donald Trump of doing. Now, here's the deal. It's not illegal when the Democrats did it, and it's not illegal now. They have to prove what in the legal terms is called mens rea. Mens rea means you have to prove intent. You have to prove that Donald Trump intentionally propagated a lie about the 2020 election. And even if you did, let's just say you were somehow able to prove by some witness testimony, Donald Trump told me that he knows he lost the election, but he's decided to screw it to the American people anyway. Guess what? That's not against the law. But the problem for the Democrats and for Jack Smith is Donald Trump never told anyone that. You've read the whole indictment, you will know. There is no person outlined or identified in that indictment that says anything like that. Furthermore, when they quoted Donald Trump's statement from the Ellipse on January 6th, where he said he expects everyone to peacefully and patriotically march down to the Capitol and let your feelings known, they edited out the word peacefully. Can you believe this? In an indictment, they edited that word out.
Oh, that's gonna, you know that's got to cost them when it, well, maybe not because of this judge, but I mean, any other case, it'd be like, okay, toss it.
That'd be the death of this case. This is so fraught with fraud, so loaded with fraud, Jack Smith should be disbarred. This is the most preposterous indictment I've ever seen, and I'm not alone. People with much more criminal law experience than I do have said the exact same thing. Andrew McCarthy, a guy who's not a Trump fan. Jonathan Turley, a guy who's not a Trump fan. Alan Dershowitz, a guy who's definitely not a Trump fan. There is nothing to this. Donald Trump will never lose this case. If this corrupt Obama judge guides him to a loss at the district court level in Washington, D.C., with a jury that'll probably be 95% against him, it'll go to the appellate court. If he loses there, it'll go to the Supreme Court. He'll never lose there. These are First Amendment constitutional provisions that are being challenged here. And according to the liberals, we no longer have a Bill of Rights because they're now deciding by this indictment alone that there just isn't one. If you don't agree with them, and that's what they're saying here, that Donald Trump was told that he didn't win the election. Other people told him that he did win it. And because he sided with the people who disagreed with the liberals, that's now a crime. Try to follow that logic if you can. It has no chance of succeeding, much like the other ones. The goal here is the same, Owen. It is to taint Donald Trump to the point that independents and some crossover Democrats won't vote for him because they think somehow, some way, if you throw enough crap on the wall, something's going to stick. And if you keep accusing me of something, people are going to say, well, you must have done something wrong. They wouldn't do this. It's just human nature. And Mike Pence, who I see there on the screen with Donald Trump's social truth post, is one of the great frauds of all time. I'm glad you put that up. Mike Pence is one of the worst rotten sewer rats that this country has ever produced. He hides behind a phony Christian persona. He's elevated to the number 2 spot in the country through Donald Trump. And for that, the loyalty factor is Donald Trump should never be president again because he thinks he's above the law and violates the Constitution. That's Mike Pence's statement. I hope Mike Pence never succeeds in life, period, again. I can't stomach the guy. He's 100% fraud. He's worse than the Schiffs of the world. We know who Schiff is. Mike Pence pretended to be someone else. Adam Schiff doesn't pretend to be a complete gas bag asshat. He is, and he tells you he is. But Mike Pence acts like he's somebody he's not, and he's despicable. And take your 3%, Mike Pence, and shove it right up your ass.
3%? Mike Pence is now polling at 0% and surging quickly to 0 is where I see Mike Pence right now. But, you know, by the way, I had a witness on who was in the Oval Office with Donald Trump, and there's multiple eyewitnesses that would confirm this should they be called to testify, which is Donald Trump said in the Oval Office multiple times, he said, look, if I lost the election, I'll go back to playing golf and living at Mar-a-Lago and having a supermodel hot wife. Like, I'll be fine. I'll walk right out that door, get on Marine One. Multiple eyewitnesses will say that. So it really throws another wrench into Jack Smith's equation. But, you know, all those names you mentioned, Kevin, and I saw some others too, Victor Davis Hanson, you know, these are the people that kind of just go through the rounds. They pick up the New York Times, pick up the Wall Street Journal, listen to a little bit of news, focusing on their thing, but really don't understand how corrupt things are because they've lived mostly a very privileged, lavish life. And that's fine. We're Americans. We love capitalism and people prospering. But Kevin, I think that the conservative light that still kind of believe that we live in America, I think that brand is about to get a really rude awakening with this indictment now and with the developments we're going to see in this case.
I think Republicans as a group are the most spineless cowards on the face of the earth. We know what the liberals are. They're corrupt. They're hopelessly corrupt. They're bloodthirsty, greedy for power and money. We've seen that. We now know that we have, not that we didn't know it before, but we have a corrupt president, a corrupt first family. The entire family is a Biden crime syndicate. We know that. We have evidence. We have whistleblowers. We have documents. We have phone calls. We have everything that you need. I mean, this is the Gambino
I mean,
family.
it is hilarious. And they say there's no evidence, Kevin. I mean, it's like we have evidence. It's like we have the whole thing.
Yeah, there's no evidence. You couldn't have any more evidence.
I could dive into the Pacific Ocean and say there's no water. I mean, that's essentially what they're doing. They're swimming around in the Pacific Ocean doing freestyle and snorkeling. There's no water in here. Oh.
It's unbelievable, unconscionable. The only thing you could have is Joe Biden to say, by the way, did you know that I'm a complete criminal and that I've shaken down foreign governments for tens of millions of dollars? That's the only thing that's missing. And we may have that because he's so stupid.
We do have that in front of the Council on Foreign Relations.
It's unbelievable. And his son keeps bragging on all these emails and tweets that we keep seeing about how he's the supreme Aryan race. This guy's a lunatic, by the way. He's a psychopath. And while they keep saying, and they've got all the talking points, Owen, Hunter Biden's a private citizen. They'll repeat that 6 billion times. So what? That means nothing. A private citizen who's a criminal, who used his father's influence, who wasn't a private citizen, to shake down foreign governments for millions of dollars. Here's the deal. You don't have to prove that Biden had anything to do with it. The fact that Biden was okay with Hunter doing it is a felony on Biden's part. Joe Biden, Papa Joe, the big guy, you know, that guy. But as far as Victor Davis Hanson, I want to say something in his defense here. Victor Davis Hanson wrote this today. Special counsel Jack Smith added new indictments against Donald Trump, among them conspiratorially, unlawfully discounting legitimate votes. Was Smith referencing Stacey Abrams, who for years claimed she was the real governor of Georgia, barnstorming the country to overturn the vote count? Or maybe Smith referred to ex-President Jimmy Carter. He discounted the 2016 election vote by claiming Trump won only due to the Russians. Or did Smith mean Hillary Clinton, who discounted Trump as illegitimate, prompting her to join the resistance against an elected president? Or maybe Smith meant the Hollywood crowd who cut commercials after the 2016 election.
All right, Kevin, pause it right there. Kevin Slayton, my guest, KevinSlaytonShow.com. Stick right here, folks. Don't go anywhere. Kevin Slayton, my guest, KevinSlaytonShow.com. Kevin, you were just reading that statement from Victor Davis Hanson. He was also very eloquent last night on Fox News. And I think you can go back into that statement, but you know, here's what I see happening. The ruling class has never been more clear and present. We thought we were free citizens in control of our own fate, our own future, our own prosperity in this country. We're learning, even our own elections, we're learning the hard way. This is not the case. There is truly a ruling class, and they will weaponize the government against us whenever they see fit. Trump is maybe the leading example of this, but others have dealt with it too. So you can get back into that letter showing all the double standards, but it couldn't be more clear at this point. They deny every election they've lost, every presidential they've lost, the Democrats, in the 20th century. But now they want to put Trump in jail for doing what they've done every time? I mean, it's too obvious.
Not only what they've done every time, but as you said, it's too obvious. It's brazen. They're brazen and arrogant in it now because they know they have media cover from the liberal media wags. And those people are the greatest crooks in our country, and they're the greatest threat to our republic. It's the media, more so than the liberals even. I mean, they continue to put stuff like that up there, that Trump has 500 years in prison coming his way and all of this crap. None of that's going to happen. Donald Trump will never spend a day in prison. Never. They know it. We know it. It's all designed, as you said, to mug up the presidential election that's coming up. But the problem is this, Owen, unless it is stopped and unless these people are stopped, the ruling class, these elite liberals, unless they are stopped in their tracks, they will never stop doing it. We are in for this for the rest of our lives if we allow it to happen here. It has to be stopped here. We need a civil war or we need secession. Those are our two options at this point. We have too many lazy, uninformed, intellectually lazy Republicans and conservatives who sit back on their lazy asses and do nothing while the entire republic is being torn down. The elitist Democrats and liberals have seen the opening. They're taking it. They're using Trump as their punching bag, and they're beating him up right in front of our very eyes. And what are the Republicans in Congress doing about it? Oh, they say they're going to go ahead and defund the special counsel. Good luck with that, because that has to pass through the Senate. So that's not going to happen. Everything's going to get blocked. I used to think divided government was the best thing we could have in this country because it keeps those morons in Washington at bay. They can't do anything as long as they're divided. But now I'm convinced unless we have a completely Republican Congress and White House, the country will never go forward, will only slip backward into the abyss, and whoever the Republican president is will have his hands tied behind his back. And I've got news for Ron DeSantis or Big Mouth Pence. If any of those people ever thought they could be the nominee, and if they were in the first position, this same stuff would begin to happen to them. Look at DeSantis a few weeks ago. He barely steps and puts his toe in the water, and they train their sights on him because they think if they can get rid of Trump, he'll be the guy. They're going to do this to every Republican frontrunner from here until the end of time, until it's stopped. They have no morals. They have no ethics. They have no character. And that's all liberals. That's not just the ruling class. That's all liberals.
I think the average Republican voter, and that's not to say they're a loyal Republican, but they vote Republican because they see what the Democrat Party is. I think the realization now is that you either have that understanding and that attitude, which is, look, we're going to continue to deal with this political persecution forever from the Democrat Party. So now, if you're not running a campaign, if you're not hitting the pulpit and you're not saying, I'm going to investigate Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, we're going to give them the same treatment that they gave Donald Trump. And by the way, we got a pretty good idea they're the real criminals that belong in jail. If you don't have some song and dance like that on the campaign trail, I don't think anybody's interested. I don't think your message resonates.
I agree with that. And this has to be a cattle call here. You've got to get the most vicious attorney general to put in there. My suggestions to Trump would be Kash Patel or maybe Josh Hawley from Missouri. Josh Hawley is a senator right now, a sitting senator. He hates the Democrats as much as we do. He hates them as much as Trump does. And he will go after them because they've come after him. And so that's what we need. We need to have a president on the campaign trail who will say, we are not going to conduct witch hunt prosecutions, but we are going to go where the evidence that has been accumulated by the House Judiciary and the House Oversight Committee, and we're going to pursue it. And we're going to let go where it leads. And we're going to have the Attorney General pursue it. And the new Attorney General is going to be Kash Patel. And he ought to tell us who his Attorney General is going to be right up front so that we all know ahead of time. Because if it's going to be some candy ass, then I won't vote for Trump. But I can't imagine that Trump would not bring a hard ass in and go scorched earth on these people. But Owen, until one of them or two of them or 10 of them or 20 of them are in jail, nothing's ever going to change. This punk, Peter Strzok, has the balls to go on Twitter and claim that you should take a parlay bet and bet against Trump or bet on Trump going to jail for how many days. This guy is a psychopath. Just his look on his face tells you that. We've got Andrew McCabe, a liar who lied to the FBI, pontificating on CNN. What's his last name? He's so memorable. I've forgotten his name.
Van Jones?
Van Jones, who claims I'm sick. But he said, I was giddy all day knowing that Trump was going to be indicted. Giddy. Why would you be giddy about something like that when you know, unless you're an irrational human being, that all of this is fake, all of it's made up, and as you said, they're accusing Donald Trump of a crime that they've committed multiple times. Folks, it's not a crime. It's not a crime when the liberals do it, speak their free mind. It's not a crime when Donald Trump does it. They want to criminalize it for Republicans, and the Republic is at stake here. It must end now.
By the way, I'm not even sure if you're aware, and it's talking about Van Jones. Van Jones was actually recorded on Project Veritas hidden camera admitting to the Project Veritas journalists that they all knew Russian collusion was fake. So he knows the whole thing is a lie, and it just shows you the type of people they are. But I'm sure, Kevin, I'm sure that the Obama-appointed judge from Jamaica, Tanya Chutkin, is going to be totally unbiased, and she's not going to look at Donald Trump as a white man, a rich white man that she's going to get revenge on for her ancestors. I'm so confident that's not going to happen.
I'm so glad you're confident of it, because she will do that. She's already ruled against Trump in the case with these documents. She's trying to block some of these, and she's ruled against him already. She's the biggest danger to freedom of speech in this country. She is the most vicious judge on the January 6th political prisoners that there is. But here's what will happen. Trump's attorney is going to file a motion for dismissal and a motion for change of venue. If they lose on both of those, and they will lose in her court on both of them, they'll appeal both of those decisions. And so she's not going to have a say in this. She's done. She's finished. She is as corrupt as the day is long. And shame on Obama for ever appointing someone this corrupt. So you're going to have to go somewhere else, get it out of Washington, D.C. You might not get it out of Virginia completely, but get it down into the southern part of Virginia where you have a more fair chance. And let it go there, but make sure it's delayed until the cows come home so that we can get through this election and then get to the Supreme Court. By the way, if Kash Patel or Josh Hawley or Kevin Slayton becomes attorney general, these federal cases that they brought, that Jack Smith, this jackass, has brought, both will be dismissed. They'll be dropped for lack of prosecution, lack of evidence, and for lies. And then turn around and prosecute Jack Smith. By the way, do you know Jack Smith's record? It seems to me that every time he brings a case, it gets overturned. This guy is a pathetic failure as a lawyer. He looked as though he were going in front of the electric chair yesterday. He was ready to sweat bullets while he knew he was lying. Can you imagine standing there accusing a former president of violations of freedom of speech in this country, knowing you're lying, knowing nobody's buying it except the retards who call themselves liberals? Nobody else believes him. Everybody knows he's lying.
Well, and I see that too, and I'm thinking, wow, I mean, they really must be scraping at the bottom of the barrel to find people that'll come up and do this. And it just makes me realize this is so beyond politics. I mean, this is so beyond politics. When you're scraping up to find people like Jack Smith to go after Donald Trump for obviously First Amendment protected activity in front of the whole country, seeing how fraudulently you're operating, I mean, there's something else going on here. I mean, it's even beyond power, influence. I mean, it's blackmail, it's secret societies. I mean, this is insane. I mean, honestly, it's totally insane.
You hate to make Nazi references, but I am a student of Nazi history, and it fascinates me how an entire country could have allowed that to go on back in the 30s and 40s. But if you look at what's going on here today, you have all of those roles filled. Biden is clearly attempting to be a dictator by every fiat that he can imagine. He has brought his henchmen in, his Joseph Goebbels, who's now a black lesbian, the minister of propaganda. He brings in somebody like Jackass Smith, who is Heinrich Himmler running the Gestapo, or perhaps Christopher Wray is Heinrich Himmler. Perhaps we could use Hermann Goering as Jack Smith. But they're all the same guy. If you watch them, they all believe in the same thing. They are against freedom of speech. They're against freedom of thought. They're in favor of censoring the opposition. They're in favor of muzzling the opposition. Hitler would just kill them in the street. But make no mistake about it. If Biden could do it, he would do it if he could get away with it. They have not 1 ounce of caring about other people's lives. Look what they're doing to the Trump family.
Yep.
These people who are perverts, Owen, they sniff around through Melania Trump's underwear drawer. What more can you say about them? You can start and stop right there.
And I would argue that they're already killing people in the streets with no remorse. Just look at the Ashley Babbitt situation, if you want one example. Kevin, we've got a short 5-minute segment. We got a short break here and then a short 5-minute segment. Stick around with me if you can. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be joined by Alex Jones in studio. It's been a loaded broadcast day. Kevin Slayton, my guest right now. We'll be right back after this short break. By the way, another friend and associate of Donald Trump was subpoenaed and raided by the feds today. Vince McMahon, who President Trump was speaking positively of just a few weeks ago on a podcast. Now he's been raided by the feds, but I'm sure that's all above board. I mean, the federal government is not corrupt at all. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. Now, Kevin, we were talking earlier about the Hunter Biden situation with all of the evidence, and it's pretty obvious where this is going to go. I'd probably be willing to bet a pretty heavily amount, maybe like an inch from my life, that if you go look at all of Hunter Biden's bank records and transactions, you're going to find money going to the big guy, Joe. You're going to find that. And so now all of a sudden you have to get Joe involved in the questioning and the investigation, which I think is ultimately inevitable. But, you know, there's another riff here. And I think the reason why the Democrats have an investment to protect Joe, they'd love to get rid of Joe, I believe. But this is about protecting Barack Obama, I think, as well. Obama had to know that Joe Biden was doing this. I mean, there's no way he didn't know. He put him in charge of Ukraine. He signed over the humanitarian aid after they got the prosecutor fired. I think this leads to Obama.
I don't know how good James Comer's staff is at uncovering everything. They've been pretty damn good so far to get these bank records, which, by the way, are concrete pieces of evidence. There is no debating bank records. There's no debating these shell companies that they created to give, to launder money to grandkids. So clearly Joe Biden's getting money. These offshore accounts could be the key to finding the money trail to Biden himself. But here's where the money is. When Biden said, where's the money? Well, it's in your mansions, Joe. What politician can afford beach homes and mansions everywhere in the country? Only you can, it seems, and Obama. And I think they're protecting Obama, too, because I think, as you say, he knew about it. And I think if James Comer's staff can go deep enough, they're going to find money laundered to the Obamas, because this is a deal with both of them. You're not president and not know about this stuff. The phone calls, of course, by Biden to the business associates, as you now know, were just weather related. So do you usually call? Well, you don't have a son, but I do. When I call my son, if he's meeting with his business associates, and by the way, I never do, but if he were and I called him, I wouldn't say, hey, fellas, how's the weather going? How you guys doing? I have busier things. My life is busier than that. Joe Biden, as vice president, had nothing better to do than to pick the phone up. And by the way, that doesn't happen. There's always somebody who transcribes every phone call a vice president.
Unless it's on a burner phone in secret, which is a whole nother rip here.
That's right. That's right. And you will find that if they can dig deep enough. But here's the bottom line, Owen. If they find nothing else, they have enough to throw Biden and his criminal family, like his wife, that wench, in jail for life. They have enough. Now, will the Republicans pursue it when they gain power in the White House? That's the only question left to be answered.
And that's really the ultimate question. And this isn't, see, here's the problem too, is the Republicans, and they have to drop all these fears, but it's, oh, we don't want to seem political. We don't want to do this to the nation. It's already been done. You're not the ones doing it. You're responding in proper manner. And by the way, you're going after the real criminals.
Right, right. This little tit for tat thing that the Republicans are afraid of, this isn't tit for tat. They started this against an innocent man. They've destroyed his life or tried to destroy his life. You're going after the real criminals. I'm not in favor of impeaching Biden because impeaching him has no teeth. It's meaningless. You won't get a conviction in the Senate. Don't be like them. I would take the high road on impeachment. The key is, are you going to prosecute him when Donald Trump takes the White House? That's the question, because that's the only thing that matters. Impeachments are they're just phony ideas that somebody's being held accountable for something. They're not. They're not going to get convicted. And even if you were convicted in the Senate, you just lose your job. You don't go to jail. You go to jail in the courts, and that's where the prosecution through the Attorney General and the Department of Justice has to happen. It isn't going to happen with the little weasel Merrick Garland. Have you ever been so butthurt because a guy didn't nominate you for something like Merrick Garland is against Trump, where you try to destroy his life? You lie, you make crimes up.
Oh, I've never seen a weaker person in a position of power. But Kevin, you know, they say Joe was calling Hunter to talk about the weather. It actually, he was. He said he was calling Hunter to find out whether or not he had his money.
Well, he's trying to find out whether or not they shook down enough countries and we have that newest beach house that we want.
That's it.
And
Yeah,
perhaps let's hide that.
Maybe a new Corvette, and they can stuff some classified boxes into the back of it too. Kevin Slayton, KevinSlaytonShow.com. Good to hear from you, Kevin. Alex Jones joins us next, folks. Don't go anywhere.
If I was the deep state and I wanted to destroy America, I would rig the election with a puppet candidate. One that was so compromised that they would never say a word about it. I would create a false flag that allows for mail-in ballots. I would be in charge of the ballot counting machines. I would create a false flag to blame all who question the results of the election. If I was the deep state, I would prosecute anyone that went against me. I would sue and prosecute anyone that spoke up about the fraudulent election. I would use my powers to shut down all your internet businesses and bankrupt you. If I was the deep state, I would make everyone an example why you should never question a Democrat ever winning an election. I would imprison my foes. I would use my corrupt DAs and blackmail judges to destroy you. I would make sure all crimes I ever committed never happened. I would prosecute my biggest competition. I would make sure they could never run for office ever again. If I was the deep state, I would convince everyone that Ukraine Nazis were good and women are men. If I was the deep state, I would own every politician that mattered. If I was the deep state, I would push my pedophilia ambitions on you. If I was the deep state, you'd question your sexual identity but not the medical establishment. If I was the deep state, you would fear to ever resist me. If I was the deep state, you would wish I was really the devil. If I was the deep state, I would say mission accomplished.
The third hour of the War Room. It's 5:07 Central Standard Time. Owen Schroyer doing a great job here. Alex Jones, give everybody an update on what I talked about yesterday morning and what I talked about on the War Room in the evening. A lot of folks have reached out. A lot of people have wanted more details of what I was specifically talking about. But here is the bottom line. You've seen what I told you about years ago, what we were the first to report on, the first. Intelligence agencies have been turned internally against the American people. And they are literally engaged in a coup against our democratic republic's processes. And so there's incredible levels of disinformation. And they've used lawfare to try to not just destroy President Trump, but InfoWars, Tucker Carlson, the list goes on and on. They're trying to put other people in prison. Andrew Tate, you've seen everything. But everybody from Russell Brand to Elon Musk is now against the New World Order because people see where the world is now and they see that we were right about the tyranny. So yesterday, I was visiting with some family that's been ill. I was still going to do the show from the beach where they were convalescing. And then I learned pieces of information that were going on. And then I learned more after that. And I came on air and I said something that was overall accurate. You know, I said there are plans to shut down InfoWars. And you've seen the plaintiffs' lawyers from the deep state in Connecticut and Texas say, we don't want money, we want to shut down InfoWars. And I'm not at liberty because a lot of this stuff is in confidential meetings and things like that to get into all the details of it. But they were basically telegraphing that they had a plan to go ahead and just shut us down outside of the law, because under Chapter 11, Subchapter 5, you're allowed to reorganize and keep a company going and stay on air and pay people what you can. And so I was simply firing the bat signal listeners and saying, listen, I mean, Justice Department, CIA, they're all involved. They're literally trying to squeeze and really terrorize a lot of people behind the scenes that I haven't gotten to on air. And I was simply stating that, well, I hadn't stated this part yet, so here it is. They learned, because they're surveilling us, that I've got a bunch of big offers. But I'm not going to abandon InfoWars. This is a brain trust, great crew, great operation. They'd see it as a victory to do that. So just because I can go do big shows right now and just explode, I'm not doing that because this is a brain trust. I'm loyal to this crew. I'm loyal to the listeners that have supported us. Our archive, our work, everything we do would take a year or so in the middle of this campaign to rebuild. We don't want to do that. So obviously they were surveilling us, a lot of dirty tricks behind the scenes. And they knew that I finally decided last week, and the announcement will be made next week, to go ahead and team up with one of the biggest groups out there. And when that happened, they went into high gear panicking, as if they thought I was bluffing about all this. But they've got our phones tapped. They're listening to us. We know that it's come out. They read our instant messages. You know, they give private access to all these tech companies. We're going to skip this break coming up. So there's a lot I can't tell you, a lot I can't get into, because, you know, when you're in these meetings and things are confidential, you can't talk about it. So until a later date, because that's what you agreed to. And that's the regulations, that's the law. But they're hopping mad. That's why they're going after Trump, obviously. It's why they're going after everybody else, why they fired Tucker, why they're trying to intimidate Joe Rogan, why they're trying to do all these dirty tricks behind the scenes to silence people. Massive lawfare, not just against us, but thousands of other bloggers, organizations, and groups are being harassed by the deep state that's waging war, because the deep state is losing. But talking through stuff with the people involved and knowing what the blueprint is, we're winning and we're having massive success. And barring the deep state filing criminal charges on us, which they're trying to do, and they've done with Owen, they're not going to be able to silence us. But we need your prayers. We need your support, because you want somebody to fight for you. Hey, I'm fighting for myself. We're all in this together. But you have to understand, we need your prayers. We need your support. The one thing they can use, in which they're trying to do, in a Chapter 11, Subchapter 5, is if we don't have enough money to show that we're solvent, they can shut us down. Now, we're in the black, not a lot, but some. But we need to show that we're robust under federal law, because the courts, they don't fully control yet. They don't control all the federal judges. And so far, I think we've got a good judge. And so without getting into all the inside baseball, a lot of stuff went crazy last week when they've got the phones tapped, they've got everything going on, and they know what's happening. But if you think Elon Musk is the only one out there realizing free speech is the way to go, it's a seismic shift by all the major groups other than the Daily Wire. And I'm not trying to put the Daily Wire down. It's just that they're kind of playing inside baseball themselves with the system, and they're they're basically communicating with the system. I think the system will get them later. I'm not saying they work for the system, but they're basically still agreeing to be patriot constitutionalist light. But the other groups, and I mean all of them, Rumble, Steven Crowder, even the Blaze, and all these other groups, highest levels, can sense the renaissance, sense the victory, and really don't care and want the fight now and aren't going to shut up because their listeners aren't buying anything now and demand they go all the way. And I'm not saying that with Crowder. He was already awake and already strong and didn't need to see the crowd go his way. So we'll make major announcement. I'll leave it at that. Major announcements Monday and Tuesday of next week. But all hell broke loose. Literal all hell broke loose last week when they learned of this. When I leave here, they will have black SUVs follow me home. They've had helicopters over my house. They are literally trying to mess with me to let me know they're tyrants and let me know they're criminals and let me know that they have power. What, you didn't think I didn't know this? I knew this when I was a little kid. Okay? So it's a big deal. But all I can tell listeners is this. We need everybody to go to InfoWarsStore.com. Vitamin Mineral Fusions back in stock. Great colloidal silver, silver bullets back in stock. The highest quality you're going to find. Nitric Boost, Super Fuel Vitality. We need to not just have enough money to operate. We need to be able to show the federal court a war chest in the next month because a lot of big movements are happening in the court case. I can't tell you. They're going to decide whether these ridiculous kangaroo court debts of $1.5 billion that we could obviously never pay are dischargeable or not. The truth, the law is all going in our direction. Plus, even if that doesn't happen, we got a bunch of moves with appeal for years to stay on air. And by then, this battle will be decided. And so all I can say is we're in the heart of the battle right now, ladies and gentlemen. And so yesterday I had a lot of info, a lot of good info about internal attacks, but that was actually disinfo being planted and pushed with actually, as I've now read all the information, seen all the information, with people being smart ass back, basically. And again, the courts are there if people have a debt you're supposed to pay, even though we're still on appeal, where you're supposed to then try to pay that. They've said publicly, and I'll leave it at that in other ways, they're dumb enough to do this. We don't want money, we want to silence him. Well, that's against the law, even though they still think they can do whatever they want. Just like the congressional hearings about weaponization you've seen, where they're like, we're going to silence the American people. So America's the ultimate cycle in human history right now at this level. I'm sure bigger stuff comes in the future. The eye is not seen, the ear is not heard, and the mind is not imagined. But this is such a historic moment. And I thank God every millisecond that for whatever reason, how I was born, who my parents were, what I saw, who I was, that I didn't fall to evil. Because I could have easily, I almost did. Lord knows it was like something on a Pilgrim's Progress. The temptations, the things I saw, but it was all God training me and allowing it to happen, preparing me to be able to take on this now. And now all these attacks are not even a weight on us. It is like, I use the analogy, Mount Bonnell is in North Austin, and it's like 200, 300, 400 steps, I don't know, to the top. Okay, it's like a quarter mile straight up steps. And I would put my children, I got 4 children, and I've carried all 4 of them at one point or another, even when they're too big and like 5 years old, up that thing. And man, you're going up that thing and it's tiring, but when you get to the top, when you take them off your shoulders and set them there and they see the sunset and that weight's off your shoulders, you feel like you're flying. And that's what this is. That weight God puts on us is to build us and get us ready for the things we're doing, to literally carry the children up the mountain. Yeah, there's a shot of the crew found right now. And that's what this is. And so without the mountain, there is no struggle. They put plants in space on the space shuttle and they grow in circles and die. But when there's wind and storms and ants and everything, that's what makes the trees and the grass strong. And so this is the animating contest of liberty that Thomas Jefferson talked about. I want to salute the listeners and viewers. You know, the stuff I learned about yesterday was so terrible and so underhanded and so criminal and so dastardly. But we already know that I just came to you after biting my tongue and said a bunch of stuff. And in the main, it was accurate. But in the end, it was another psyop, another operation, another disinfo. And so I'd be worried if I wasn't followed home by a black SUV tonight. I'd be worried if people weren't threatening my family right now and saying, do what we want, go away, or we'll harass your family. And I said to my parents years ago, they're harassing right now. They said, son, don't even ask. It's a pleasure. And so it's a pleasure to be with this crew. that is also aren't cowards and aren't living on their knees. And it's that famous, I want you to talk, because you're sitting there politely, but will you guys print me the Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death speech? Because when you're done talking, Owen, as soon as I get that, I want to read that. Because it's not just the part where he says, let your chains sit lightly upon you. May we forget you are our brethren. Because this is literally going into bondage, world government. You're going to see it all. But you have to understand, you read the Bible, it's all coming true. Satan wins the first 3 quarters and loses in the 4th quarter, folks. He wages war against us for a season and then fails. But we have to go through that fight. We will win in the 4th quarter. The enemy's powering up with all its might. And you see the big awakening. You see how people they're killing. And all the confirmed news of babies dying from the shots and everything. And it's horrible, it's terrible. And that's the enemy literally beginning to exert its full force. Has been preparing for thousands of years now, planned out against us, getting control of all the systems to now launch this assault on us. And it's going to fail in the end.
You know, this is like a roller coaster, Alex, except that the track hasn't been laid yet. So it's like we're on the coaster. We don't know what track is going to be laid next. And the reason I say that is because we've gone back and forth. I've had moments where I've been upset with Trump. I've bashed Trump. Right now, I don't know if I've ever been more supportive of Trump because of what he's going through and because of the speech that he gave last night, the message he gave to the American people of positivity.
We should play that again.
Like it was so, because here's what it is, Alex. We're on the front lines. And this is the analogy. It's like, imagine we're walking through the whole army of American patriots and everybody that's here with us, but we walk past everybody to the front. And we know we're going to go into that bloodbath first, and we're going to take stabs and arrows and knives and everything. And everybody's just kind of watching us walk to the front like, there they are. There's the front lines infantry. There's the badasses. Like, yeah, you guys are about to watch us get slaughtered. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? And then there goes Trump, and he walks in front of us. And it's like, I mean, how can I not support the man? He's the only guy walking in front of us on the front lines.
That's a perfect analogy.
And so how can I not support him? I know he's not perfect. I know he's not going to be my savior. I don't want him to be.
The enemy, he's for real. We asked for somebody to stand up for us. We're getting it.
So it's like when I go into the impeachment hearings, and by the way, I'm walking in there, and I got people shaking my hands. I got representatives shaking my hands. Oh, Owen Schroyer, this is great. This is great. I knew nobody was going to stand up with me. I knew I'd be the only one in the arena that day, and that's fine. That's the role we take. That's walking past the entire
army. And that's why
army.
They said they charged you, not for January 6th, but because you went to Congress before.
So we're going to have you read the Patrick Henry speech. I'm looking forward to that. But that's why, to me...
How long's the Trump speech, though?
We just have a 60-second clip of the whole entire message.
Yeah. Let's play that. If we have that, let's play that clip.
We should have it, guys. Go ahead and roll it.
The country is in a very dark place right now. But even after everything the deep state has done to me, I will never give up on America. Mark my words. In 2024, we will win back the White House. We will make America great again. I have no doubt about it. They come at me from left. They come at me from right. The rhinos, the communists, the Marxists, the fascists. We will not only survive, we will be stronger than ever before. We're fighting a fight like nobody ever thought possible, and we're winning. We won in 2016. We had a rigged election in 2020, but got more votes than any sitting president. We're going to win like never before, and we're going to make America great again. I can truly say, I believe, better than ever before. Thank you for all of your support and for all of your prayers.
So, Alex, as you know, it's not just difficult to survive going through this. It's even harder to be positive. And so for Trump to come out last night with a positive message for America, it just charged my batteries.
Oh, he's 100% all in. And you look at Jack Smith yesterday. It's not when he's at the podium. Walking up, he's shaking because he knows he's election meddling. He knows he's engaged in like Hitler-level crap. I mean, these people are unbelievable. Did you read the indictment? Trump lies and says illegal aliens vote. The Democrats have legalized it in a bunch of cities. I mean,
they removed the word peaceful from his statements.
Look at this headline. Pew Research, one of the biggest research firms out there. Most of the 23 million immigrants eligible to vote in the 2020 election live in just 5 states. Illegal immigrants eligible to vote, and they indicted him saying that's one of his 21 lies. Even if it was lying, he has a right to say it. He's not lying.
And by the way, we've been so focused on the political news today that we are leaving out, you know, Bidenomics. We're not just about to get crushed because of Bidenomics and the domestic policy. China and BRICS are about to make major moves in the coming months.
We just had our credit devalued.
The credit was devalued. The BRICS summit is coming up in South Africa.
I mean, we're being set up.
China's about to sell all of its treasuries. I mean, it's like Bidenomics is about to be.
They were already getting rid of America. It was supposed to be the Chinese communist century. Trump came in and said no. And definitely supported, represented by people in government and us that don't want that. So he's not perfect, but folks, he's not trying to screw us.
And I think, I mean, look, we're going to have big developments in 2023, and then I think 2024 is going to just be off the hook. I mean, weather weapons, alien invasions, maybe another pandemic. They're just going to throw everything at it.
Oh, if Trump gets in, they're going to do the alien thing. They got that ready.
They're going to try. They don't even want there to be an election.
I'm telling you, folks. You know when something's dangerous. You know when something's going down. My spidey sense is like off the chart right now. I think everybody else gets that too. So when we come back, I'll read the Patrick Henry here. But listen, folks, you see what we've been through. I saw the media bitching. Trump used $60 million of the $200 million he raised to fight lawsuits. Where does he get it? He's supposed to fight lawsuits. Democrats use their campaign money for it. Support Trump financially. Support us. They've got to get through us to get to you. Vitamin Mineral Fusion, back in stock. Colloidal silver back in stock. Go. Vote for resistance. Vote for victory. InfoWarsStore.com right now. We're talking about Christmas comes in August.
It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
And you said recently, quote, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do.
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
If I ask them, if I need them, you know, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand, a lot of money.
You and I are not in the big club. The owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
All right, so people usually just quote a little bit of Patrick Henry, but I thought I would read the whole speech. It's not that long. It's like 6 pages long here of big type. So I'm going to go ahead and just read this on air. Patrick Henry's Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech. This helped spur the revolution in the months before 1776, July 4th. The question before the House is one of awful moment to this country. For my own part, I consider it as nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery. Should I keep back my opinions at such a time through fear of giving offense? Should I consider myself as guilty of treason towards my country? Mr. President, it is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. But is this the part of a wise man engaged in a great struggle for liberty? Are we disposed to be of the number of those who, having eyes, see not, and having ears, hear not, the things which so nearly concerned their salvation? For my part, whatever anguish of spirit it may cost, I am willing to know the whole truth, to know the worst, and to provide for it. We're here 2.0, 10 times worse. I know of no way of judging of the future but by the past. And judging by the past, I wish to know what there has been in the conduct of the British ministry for the past 10 years to justify those hopes which gentlemen have been pleased to comfort themselves in the House. Is it that insidious smile with which our petition has been lately received? Trust it not, sir. Suffer not yourselves be betrayed with a kiss. Ask yourselves, are fleets and armies necessary to the work of love and reconciliation? Militarization, 86,000 IRS, declaring patriots of the terror, Homeland Security should arrest all the Trump supporters. Let us not deceive ourselves, sir. These are the implements of war and subjugation, the last arguments to which kings resort. I ask, gentlemen, sir, has Great Britain any enemy in this quarter of the world to call for all of this accumulation of natives and armies? No, sir. They're organized the Native Americans. No, sir. She has none. They are meant for us. They can be meant for no other. And we have, and what we have to oppose to them. Shall we try arguments, sir? We have been trying that the last 10 years, sir. We have been doing everything that could be done to avert the storm, which is now coming on. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves before the throne and have implored its interpretation to arrest the tyrannical hands of Parliament. Our petitions have been slighted. Our remonstrations have been produced additional violence and insult. Our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne in vain after these things. May we indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. And who is the throne today? The UN, the globalists, the big banks, BlackRock, the WF. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight. An appeal to arms and to God of hosts is all that is left to us. And folks, we talk about war today, 90% is information, speaking out, noncompliance, civil disobedience, supporting the liberty, lawsuits, supporting Trump, supporting InfoWars, and praying to God. An appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left to us. It is vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. The war, this is the most important. It is vain, sir. They're not giving us quarter, they're not backing off. They're cutting the energy off, they're coming to cut our kids' penises off. The pedophilia is everywhere. The borders are open. Human smuggling. I mean, they're cutting off the energy. They're laughing at us. It is vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. The war is actually begun. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what other course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. There is no making a deal. It's here to shut us down and enslave us. It's here to depopulate us. It makes King George III and the Parliament that just wanted to rob and control look like angels. Submission. When you run from a dog, it chases you. When you battle a bully, they attack you. There is no other way but total resistance. Owen Schroyer.
Well, and even back then, one of the major issues was the taxes. And think about how innocent that is compared to what we're dealing with now. You know, men, families, they moved here because they wanted to live in a meritocracy where they could work with their own hands and not have to turn over to the government what the king claimed was his.
And that created 100 times the wealth.
And now
in 1950, 4% of the world's population had half the wealth. That was us. Biggest middle classes didn't exist till us. That's what they fear, exactly.
Self-government, same thing. And now you're probably paying 30% of the money you earn working is going right to the government.
And Owen, I agree with you that in culture and media, they make it about the T tax, and that was what started. If you weren't a lord, you couldn't run a business. They raped anybody they wanted. There was paramilitary police beating people up everywhere. They treated us like slaves. The real issue was that they were above the law and could do whatever they wanted.
And maybe we became complacent because there was a social contract. Okay, you know what? Maybe we do basically work for the federal government and they steal 30% of our time and our money. But you know what? At least we had roads. At least we had safe cities. At least we still had freedom. At least we had the opportunity for prosperity and home ownership and property ownership. That's all being taken away now.
Because they wanted to get rid of us. Why should they leave a bunch of free people running around that the world can aspire to? No, we're to be destroyed.
Well, that's what you said yesterday, too, is they can't have a land of free people on a slave planet. It ruins the whole concept of slavery for them. If you look over across your neighbor's house and you see that they're having barbecues and got their own swimming pool and 4 kids running around happy, and you're sitting there in a shanty in shackles, you're saying, hey, why can't I have that? That's what America represented to the world.
And here's the key about our atmosphere. The methane and the oxygen, the carbon dioxide is building our atmosphere, making it better. They admit that. Look at that headline. Hand me that headline right here.
Do you want to skip this break, Alex?
Yeah, we're going to skip it. This is all over the news because now they want to ban farms. Arctic farmers spared us from glaciers, but profoundly changed Earth's climate. Science Daily, time to ban farms.
To make sure your MPs and your councillors hear from you. And let's tell those Lib Dems that think it's okay to go on an awareness course when one of your councillors says that the room should be filled with carbon monoxide because you don't agree with fellow citizens. It's unacceptable. Imagine if anyone else had said that. It's just not on, is it? Let's make sure that the people that are saying they want clean air actually behave in the right way, have open, honest discussions. Let's have our voices heard together. Let's get rid of LTNs and low emission zones and say no to net zero together. Make your voices heard.
Tracked and apt to buy anything. I'm going to buy some strawberries and I'm offering exactly the right amount of money here on the help desk. So you people take that money, £1.90, and I will take my strawberries outside.
You can't take that. You can't take that. Police is on their way. You can't take that. Police is on their way.
Now, Alex, imagine, because they're saying, oh, you can't take that, you can't take that. Well, why did he even pay? Why did he just steal?
Meanwhile, looters are just attacking and stealing everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So
there's a new footage on InfoWars of the guy robbing the Sikhs, and the internet's so weird. They go, look at the Muslims beating them up. No, it's Sikhs from India beating the guy that's stealing like hundreds of packs of cigarettes.
Yeah, there it is right there. He's pouring them into the trash bin, and then he beats him with like a...
And they're trying to call it racist. No, it's like, I don't care if the guy's black or white. The police won't come. They'll go bankrupt. They go, dude, we don't have insurance. Please don't take our money. We're going to go bankrupt. Those stores live on 5% money. They can't let this go on.
And by the way, and it's the Biden economy, so you're getting crushed. But by the way, this is what led to the safest country with the most freedom. It's when criminals try to do bad things, the people beat their ass.
And what do you want to bet that that city has got a George Soros DA? They almost all do. They're going to charge those Sikhs.
Oh, they'll probably go to jail. And they'll give the man who tried to rob the store a government payout, too.
And I just love how the anti-Muslim people, and I get being anti-corrupt Islam and I'm against it, but like they're constantly shooting Sikhs. The Sikhs were set up to fight Muslims taking over India. They're like completely anti-radical Islam. They just took back Kashmir, and all the time some dumbass, because the real hate crime is, you know, rednecks. I'm a redneck kind of too, but walk in and think a Sikh is a Muslim and shoot them. They're like set up to fight Muslims. But the whole point is, go ahead and roll the tape. Roll it with audio. And there's another guy going, don't hit him, don't hit him. They got to wait for the cops. That's the liberal mindset. No, he's robbing hundreds of packs of cigarettes. They don't have insurance. Each pack's like $10. They're going to go bankrupt. They're supposed to just go bankrupt, live on the street. No, turn the audio on. Here it is.
Ain't nothing you can do, though. There's nothing you can do, man. Until you call police. Ain't nothing you can do, man. Until police come on. Hey, don't. Hey, ain't nothing you can do, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
I don't care if that's a white guy, black guy, whoever he is. He deserves to get his ass beat.
And it's funny that the people now understand so much. The guy filming this says, don't do that, don't do that. Everybody understands now. The good guy goes to jail. The system, the law enforcement, the bench now protects the criminal. The good guy goes to jail in this situation. I mean, how much more satanic than that does it get?
And the public so ignorant, the headline is Muslims attack black man.
It's just like the situation on the New York subway where this serial harasser, he's been known to subway riders for 10 years. It's even documented on the internet, people complaining.
Out of his mind.
Harassing, aggressively, groping, everything. And then finally one guy does something about it. He sadly doesn't make it out of there. And then he's the one facing jail time. He's the one in jail. He's the one that gets prosecuted. The criminal gets protected by the justice system. The good guy now gets punished.
Well, here's the bottom line. They wouldn't be trying to shut us down and silence you if we were easy to defeat. We're going to win this, but if humans get excited, globalists hope AI saves them. It's not going to work. If you get excited and fight the New World Order and share the articles, share the videos, and buy products at InfoWarsStore.com that enrich your life, it's game over. We got a big show tomorrow. The American Journal with Harris and Smith has a big show, 8 a.m. I got a big show with a big medical doctor exposing the death shots. Robert Barnes is joining us as well. Big show, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow. You'll be back 3 p.m. Tomorrow with the War Room, Owen. I'm going to let you go ahead and take over. Great job of the crew, and I want to thank everybody for their support, and I just, again, thank them for taking action.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. And here's what we're going to do to finish it off. We've had a really heavy day. Every day seems to get heavier, but we're meant to carry that weight. We're going to upload some of these video clips. You've seen the 5 minutes of Democrats denying election results. You've seen the 10 minutes of Democrats denying election results. I have a 25-minute compilation. We're going to put it on Band.video. We got 5 minutes left in this show. So we're just going to put it on Band.video. Download that, share that. 25 minutes of Democrats doing what they're trying to arrest Donald Trump for right now. But you know what? Let's do this. Let's go off on a lighter note here. This is truly hilarious, and it's nice to see creative patriots putting work out there that is going to be effective. The famous Cats in the Cradle Hunter Biden remix. If this one doesn't make you laugh, then you're probably a liberal Democrat. Here it is in clip 2.
Child called me up just the other day. He said, Dad, I need some crack. Can you help me today? And I had lots of cash, but bills to pay. He said, don't worry, Dad, I'll find another way. He was smoking for I knew it, and away he flew, saying, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. And Hunter's in the basement with a silver spoon. The hookers and drugs were gonna be there soon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when.
I'll be good and high by then, Dad. Yeah, I'll be good and high by then.
Picking through rugs, smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine.
I'm very proud of my son. My son came around just the other day. He said, I got me a deal where we can both get paid. Can I trade on your name? I said, sure, okay. Will anyone know? He said, no, no way. And as he walked away, he looked kind of dim and said, I'm gonna be like him, yeah. You know I'm gonna be like him. He's fixed it. He's worked on it. And Hunter's in the basement with a silver spoon. Ukrainian bribes were gonna be there soon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when.
I'll put aside your 10%, Dad. I'll always have your 10%.
He said, honey, what are you doing? I said, Dad, I'm fine. He said, you're not fine.
I know how to game the system. Come on. Come on. Well, he came from Kiev just the other day. Had a smile so big I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you. How's our cash supply? He nodded his head and said,
great big guy, but what I really need, Dad, is to borrow the car keys.
You can take the vet, but watch the boxes, please. And Hunter's in the basement with a silver spoon. Classified papers all over the room. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when.
I'm getting good and high again, Dad. I'm getting good and high again.
He pointed out the reason why he regrets it
is he didn't anticipate that thugs like Giuliani would use it to, in fact, try to embarrass his father. Yes, they are. They're flat thugs. Come on. This guy is a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
I stole an election and my son moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, you owe some cash, I want my cut today. He said,
calm down, Dad, you know it's on the way. But my laptop is gone and now it's on you. And now we're both really screwed, Dad. And now we're both gonna be screwed.
And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he was damn near dumber than me. My boy was dumb as me. And there was Hunter in the basement with a silver spoon. All of our crimes were coming out real soon. When's it all end, son? I don't know when.
But we're gonna end up in the pen, Dad. We're both gonna be in the pen.
I am absolutely certain, 100% certain, that at the end of the investigation, that I will be cleared of any wrongdoing.
God save the Queen, man.
All right, there you have it. The Cats in the Cradle Hunter Biden remix. Got a kick out of that one. Wanted to share it with you. So that's going to do it for today's InfoWars live transmissions, brought to you by InfoWarsStore.com. Another epic day in the InfoWar will commence tomorrow in the morning. Harrison Smith with the American Journal, the Alex Jones Show, and yours truly, 3 to 6 p.m. here on the War Room. I'm also going to be doing a couple other interviews tomorrow. I got one on the Stu Peters Show. I got one on OANN. So the work here never stops, but it's a great fight to be in. Let me tell you, I believe in America. I believe in the American people. We're going to rise out of this. It's going to be ugly. The worst is yet to come. But no, America is going to survive another 200 plus years. It's going to be the bastion of freedom and prosperity and self-government for the entire world. We're going to make it through this.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets. Get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple-digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance.
life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?